Hello, welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're having a good week. A couple of things to talk through. It's not been a crazy busy week, I don't think, for new announcements, but there are some things still coming out every week. There's something, and this week it's the announcement of something, or sort of the availability of something that was announced at Build. That's the kind of big news, and that's the Microsoft Teams toolkit for Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. So this was talked about at Build. It's a very easy way for developers to get started building Teams apps with extensions that are in both VS and VS Code. It was talked about at Build, and now it's actually available in preview. You can download it and you can try it out and you can use it. I'm quite excited by this. I'm definitely going to dig into this in a bit more detail, but I wanted you to know straight away that it's coming. Because there's a bit of a lag time at the moment between stuff happening and me blogging about it because life. So I wanted to call it out on this. So if you wanted to go and have a look at it, you can go and read the blog post about it. There's some setup steps in there and some screenshots, so you can kind of see how to get started building these things. Yeah, it looks really nice from the kind of very, very quick look I've already had. Setup is nice and easy. The templating stuff is good. The publishing stuff is all kind of sorted for you as well. So really, it's about removing that friction for developers to get started building Teams apps, which can only be a good thing. And it'd be interesting to see, if this kind of amplifies and accelerates the kind of push that we're already seeing with people building Teams apps and moving workloads into Microsoft Teams. So, yeah, that's pretty good to see. That's kind of the big news this week, I think. Like I say, I'm probably going to do a blog post about it. And I think there's some speaking stuff coming up I'm going to be doing where I might mention it as well. I'm going to talk about that again in a minute. What else? So the only other really kind of big thing I wanted to call out really this week is, well, it might be a big thing for you, it might not be. It very much depends if you're using this API or not. And it's about the Identity Protection API. So that's an API in Microsoft Graph to surface some of those signals about risky users and risky activity, sign-in, unusual sign-in patterns, and all that kind of identity protection stuff. So previously, there was a risk type enumeration to talk about the different obviously types of risks, and that did evolve, but obviously that whole identity protection space is relatively fast moving, and new risk types are added, and it just felt like the API was having some challenges keeping up. So they've actually moved to a string type, which I think will give them greater flexibility moving forward, because they can just kind of ad hoc throw new types in there as they become available, and they haven't got to try and keep the enumeration up to date. You might argue it's kind of a design change, maybe if you're on the it very much depends on your thinking about enums versus strings, but that's the decision they've made. It's basically what they've done is, rather than just cut over from risk type, which is currently an enum, rather than just cutting it over to a string, which would break everything that everybody is using everywhere, they've created a new type, which is weirdly called risk event type _v2, and that's the string. So they're going to run both for a bit, and then they're going to take the enum away in September, and then just have the string type. By the look of it, I think they're going to keep the weird v2 on there for a while, and then probably try and bring back the original string name. So it's going to be a bit messy for a little while, but if you can keep your code up to date with that all makes sense. It's all in preview at the moment anyway. It's all beta, so this is kind of the price you pay for using the beta stuff. You shouldn't really be using it in production, so it shouldn't really be breaking changes, but it's nice to see them not kind of just changing the type and force breaking everything. Like, they're doing this kind of slightly iterative step to kind of help developers ease over, so stuff won't just break overnight. So that's good to see. So that's nice. So basically, you do need to do some stuff. You've got until September. You should move over to the strings and rather than the enums, and it kind of just means that in the future this stuff will stay a bit more up to date as well, which is nice. All right. The only other thing I want to call out really is Commsverse. And I talked about this last week. But I'm going to talk about it again this week. We had a speaker briefing in the week, which I won't go into loads of detail about because I don't want to spoil all the surprises. But I'm looking forward to Commsverse this year. I think it's going to be really good as an online event. The organisers are really doubling down on making it an exceptional online event. Rather than just the online version of what the event was going to be. There are specific things tailored to it being an online event that make it awesome. Some that I know I can tell you about, because I can see it on the homepage, are virtual exhibition hall. So using some kind of VR magic, there's a virtual exhibition hall you can go and wander around. You can directly access the technical experts and partners that are the sponsors for the expo, and then obviously there's a wealth of speakers as well, a wealth of sessions. They're doing it in different time zones to cater for a wide kind of variety of people. So it really does feel like it's going to be a really good really good conference. Sorry, I'm doing a session all about bots, specifically. The Bot Framework Composer and Power Virtual Agents, so that should be interesting. I've not really done a talk that's so specific to Bot Framework for quite a long time, so that should be fun. And yeah, it's in 20 odd days, so yeah, put it in your calendars. It's worth blocking out some time for, if you can possibly do that. That's the biggest takeaway I've found from doing virtual conferences now, is the time is really, you've got to struggle to find the time because you're not physically relocating. You don't have that time blocked in your calendar in the same way. So do whatever it takes. Take your holiday, talk to your boss, block out your calendar, cancel your meetings. Do whatever it takes to give yourself uninterrupted blocks of time to allow you to consume content, because it's training, and you deserve training. You will become a better person by taking on more content. So, it's worth making the time for. You can destroy yourself if you try and do it on top of everything else, and you don't really get the best of the conference. You don't take in the session, and it's really kind of a bit of a waste of time. So try and dedicate the time if you can. I think that's kind of all that's happening this week. I did a really good video with Lindsay as well, by the way, which I'm hoping is going to come out soon. We're just kind of deciding what channels it is best to come out through, and doing the edits on that. But it's all kind of, that's a video really just talking about how hard it is to work at home at the moment, and how hard it is with other people in the house, sort of like the family life, balancing family and work, the things that work, the things that don't work, some ideas, and general kind of feelings and stuff. It was just a chat we did on Teams, and we recorded it, and afterwards we thought, actually, we should distribute this, because there might be stuff in here that helps other people. So that's the plan. All right, that's everything from me, and have a great rest of the weekend, whatever's left of it, and I will talk to you again next week.